The video game industry is under the gun, and they are meeting with Joe Biden today. And we've got Dan Gallagher of Market Watch joining us now from San Francisco with more on this story. Dan, the video game industry a bit under the gun because of the prevalence of first-person shooter games, right?
Well, it's certainly part of it. You know, when you look at some of these tragedies like Sandy Hook and past instances, a lot of these have been troubled young people who have had this reported fixation on these sorts of games. And so, as lawmakers in D.C. have been trying to look at options for what they're going to do, the prevalence of violent video games is often spoken about. Even the gun industry kind of points to that. Of course, they're under their own kind of pressure. So it's something that's talked about. It's not really clear yet what's going to come of it.
Okay, and obviously, Joe, we don't know what's going to come of it. Joe Biden meeting with video game executives to talk about that. And I remember back in the 90s, video game makers did have to testify before Congress and had ratings on things. That whatever happens, this seems to present a problem for the video game industry, which is kind of having a hard time, right? I'm right, and yet relies for where it's doing well on things like Call of Duty.
It's certainly a conundrum because obviously these are the titles that are controversial at the moment, but they're also the most profitable segment for the industry by a long shot. For the last like 3 years at least, half the top 10 selling games have been these M-rated action titles, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, all these games, big money makers for the sector. So it's not something that publishers can just simply say, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. It's very key to their business. Plus, because of the other pressures we've seen, as mobile games, social games, and other things have come on, they've taken away a lot of other gaming segments, but high quality first-person AAA shooters is one segment that's actually proven to be pretty resilient.
Now, I mean, it is interesting, and the graphics on those games are really quite phenomenal, and they can be very engaging. And of course, the vast majority of people who play those games never do anything wrong.
It's true. It's a very big business, and it's obviously something that's going to be. It's been talked about before. The industry has been under this kind of pressure before, other past tragedies, hearings with lawmakers. So far, from an investment standpoint, investors don't seem to be terribly worried right now. The stocks are actually up today. But obviously the group is going under a lot of other business challenges. But going forward, this has been a major tragedy, and it might be the impetus for some sort of move. The next kind of hard to weigh out at this point how it's going to affect the business.
Yeah, and I remember the game, one of the games where you're hijacking cars, and I've forgotten the name of it, of course. Grand Theft Auto, that's it.
Yes.
Came in for a lot of criticism too, and that in the end, it ended just up being a lot of hot air, and the game continued to have multiple instances of it, of iterations of the game, right?
Right, and it's actually, the next sequel of that is actually going to come out sometime this year. It'll probably actually be the biggest selling game of the year. It might challenge Call of Duty for that spot. It's going to remain a very big business. So it'll be interesting to see what the publishers and lawmakers decide they can do and are willing to do about it. I haven't spoken to any executives in the industry yet to see what they're thinking they could do, but I imagine there'll be some level of resistance to major changes in what's a very profitable business.
Yeah, it is and actually for a lot of people, a lot of fun too. Anyway, thank you very much, Dan Gallagher of Market Watch. We appreciate your time today.